All right, good morning, good day, wherever you are, all of you. We start with Hayom Yom today on the 21st of Menachem Av. Okay, the Frierdiker Rebbe says, activism on behalf of the ways of Hasidus means that even when a Hasid is in the marketplace, deeply involved in his business, or if we don't have a business, we're in the marketplace shopping. We're somewhere doing something involved in the world. So even then, the Chassid, still should think about what he can do for Hasidus, for Hasidic concerns and the welfare of Hasidus. When he encounters a business acquaintance, well, let's think more broadly. Anybody, when you encounter anybody, for any kind of so-called business you have with that person, amongst the market people, he should seek to persuade him to attend the shiurim, which are the public studies sessions, in Hasidus, or to attend a Farbrengen. And such activities on behalf of the ways of Hasidus is a personal obligation for each of us, regardless of whether one is great or small in knowledge of Hasidus. And I would add, whether one is a shliach or not, we're all called shluchim hamokim. We're all called messengers of Hashem, to bring the awareness of Hashem to ourselves, of course, and to everybody in the marketplace that we deal with. Lessons in Tanya, we're starting a new letter today. Letter Zion, Epistle Zion, page 120 in this book. And in Lakuti Amorim, page Kuf Yud Aleph. All right, this letter, I think it's 2 days. We're going to, no, it's more than 2 days. It's going to be 3 days. Yeah, okay. Gets into the subject of language we've heard all over the place, Soivev Umamale. Hashem, Soivev, encompasses all worlds, and he fills all worlds. And what's the difference? So we start. He starts with a pasuk, Ashreinu Matev Chelkeinu. How good, how happy are we with our lot? Umanoyim Geraleinu. And how good is our portion? Hashem manois chelki. Hashem allots my portion. The koisi, in my cup. He gives me, okay, so Hashem, this is a simple psukim, right? He's good to me, he gives me my portion. But Hashem, as it were, on the one hand, apportions himself out, right, into different portions. Each one gets a portion. So, Chavolim nafluli, and there's a pasuk that says, a lot fell to me, like in a lottery. A lot fell to me. So the Alter Rebbe asks the question, how do we speak about portions and lots when we speak about Hashem? We have to, in order to understand this, we have to understand well the language which is common in the mouth of our sages, which is as follows. It says if a person commits certain kinds of virus, he doesn't have a portion in the God of Israel. So again, we can counter this lashon of God expressed as portions. Hagam de lechera leishayach lashon chelek klal be'elakus. Even though at first glance it's not relevant at all to speak about portions in regard to godliness, elakusis barak, into blessed godliness. Why? Because God is not divided into pieces. So this is our contradiction, our seeming contradiction. How is it that God, in all these psukim and these sayings, we speak about portions of God, when in fact Hashem is one? There's not portions, God in portions. singular God. So, hopefully get that question, right? How is he portioned and apportioned out if he's one? So he begins to explain. The idea is this. We have an expression in the Chumash by Yaakov Avinu, by Yaakov, V'yikra loi, he called to him, meaning to God, Kel Elokei Yisrael. He used this lashon, this language, which we haven't seen, naming God Kel, Aleph Lamed, which will explain what that's about, and Elokei Yisrael. Till now, in the Chumash, Hashem has been called, Yaakov has been called Yaakov. He wrestles with the angel. This is the wrestling with the angel, right? And he's victorious. And now he called the name that's associated with him primarily is Yisrael. We're called generally Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, although at the same time we're Bnei Yaakov, right? So we have different names, these different names that are going on Yaakov Avinu, Yaakov and Yisrael, and we have different names of God. We have Havaya, we have Elohim, we have Kel. So at the same time that he's singular, we see that he's delivered to us, he's represented to us in names. So what's this mean, Kel Elokei Yisrael? Pirish. There's an interesting line here, I'll read it. I opened it because I remarked about this when I was looking at this morning. In Pasuk Eliyahu, which we say, Mincha on Erev Shabbos, at the top of page 126 in this Siddur, Tehillas Hashem, it says about Hashem, this is a Zohar, the Ant Leslach Shem Yedia, you, God, have no known name. You're beyond name, right? Name, there's one name is Abraham, one name is Yaakov, one name is Rachel, one name is Sarah. These names are distinctions. They describe particular neshamas. So names is something that we use to identify it's this and it's not that. This is Sarah, it's not Leah. About God, it says, you don't have any name, any known name. The Antles Loch Shem Yedia, and then it goes on and says, the Antu Mamala Kol Shmahan, but you fill all names. You have no name, but you fill all names. So there's a twofold aspect of Hashem here. One, which is his singularity, and that singularity fills all the multiplicity. So let's go further now back in Tanya. In truth, Hashem is beyond names. He's called the Holy One. Holy, which is attached as a siki after the ihum amalek alyonim b'tachtonim, even though he fills all the worlds, the upper worlds and the lower worlds, Mereim hamaylas, from the highest levels, ad mitachas la'oretz halozu, down to this low earth, hachumrius, this coarse low earth, he fills all of them. He, this singular he, how does he do this? This one God fills all the cracks and crevices of all of creation. And he's called HaKadosh, and he's separate, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's a pasuk that says, I fill the heavens and the earth. Ani mamish, me, myself, and I. This one, it says, me, myself, and I mamish, means God's essence. God's essence fills everything. But like kavoide, and not just a ray of it fills the worlds, but he himself fills the worlds, which at the same time we call him Kadosh Umuvdal. He's separate. He fills and he's separate. At first glance, I think we could see this appears to be a contradiction. If he's filling in everything and every detail and every crevice of creation, how do we call him separate? Kadosh. Afal b'chein, as he says, even though he's filling every detail with his ziv, with his glory, with his grace, Afal b'chein, hu Kadosh Umuvdal. He's separate, exalted and separate. For all the highest worlds and all the lowest worlds. And he's not grasped within them at all. That's what he fills everything, but he fills everything, You have you have you have you have no name known, and at the same time you fill everything, even though he has various names. Okay, so be'enim nitfas klal, he fills all the worlds, even though he's not grasping all the worlds. He's kadosh umuvdal, he's separate, and at the same time he's there in some respect in all the worlds. Ketephisis neshama, he's not like, when we say he's there in all the worlds, it's not like the tefisa neshama sa'odam begufa, the way the neshama is in the body. The neshama is actually in the body. At least the three lower levels of the neshama, ruach, and nefesh are in the body. It's an entity, right? Even at its root, we say the neshama is a chelek elokah. It's a part of God. It's like a piece that can come, and it comes down, right? The neshama has been sent down on a mission. It's an entity which invests itself in the body. God is not sent down and he's here and invested in the body, although in a certain respect he is, because he's enlivening the body. But he himself and him, what he really is in a state which we call kadosh umuvdal. So how do these two things go together? When she goes to Machmachar and Arichas, is explained above in at length, that the neshama is actually invested in the body. Therefore, so on the one hand, that since he's Kodesh Umuvdal, separate, right? We can't take life and life force, the whole of creation cannot take life force directly from his very essence alone. Kaviyakal, if you could say such a thing. So what's the deal here? So he is essentially one and singular and present everywhere. But that oneness and singularity and presence everywhere is not something that can be absorbed, and it contradicts the notion of multiplicity and details. So what's happening here, from his allness, there is rak hispashtis achayis. There's a flow, there's just a flow of life, which we called earlier kavoidai. His kavod, his ray fills everything. It's through the flow of energy, his pashtus, the spreading out of energy from his singular essence. That spreading out of energy from his singular essence is what actually touches and fills and creates the multiplicity that exists, the infinite multiplicity that exists in all of the worlds. And he gives in a mashal. Here's a mashal that hopefully will help us understand this. Like a ray of light which comes from his blessed name. So when we're speaking ray of light, we could also think about the mashal of the sun. The sun itself, we rely on the sun down here below to be actively engaged in every single detail of creation. It infuses life, the life source. The source of life is the sun, but it has to be embodied in and impregnated in and infused in to every single detail of, at least let's talk about vegetation and animals, so we get nourished. We don't get nourished from the physical presence of the sun down here below. On the contrary, that would burn us up. But we get nourished from the rays of the sun, which come from the sun. So the point is, from this singularity, there emerges multiple rays. And these are now back to our analog, these are the embodiments of godliness in the various names of God. You are not a name, but you fill all names, as the Zohar said. You have no name. You, the essence, have no name, but you fill all names. So there's a ha'ora back inside. There's a ray from God's name, blessed name. Shehu v'shmoi echad. And here's the punchline. He and his name are one. He's invested, as the sun is invested in the ray of the sun, in order to enliven everything down here below. At the same time, the sun itself is not physically down here below and present. That's where the analogy fails, because God is everywhere. But that essence is not manifest Because if essence were manifest as it is, there would be no creation. God needs to conceal himself, hide himself, this is the language of Tzimtzum, in order for multiplicity to exist. And at the same time, this multiplicity contains a ha'ora, a ray of his name. So we say, Hu v'shmei echad, he and his name are one. Mishakosov is written, Ki niskav shemei levadai. He penetrates or is embodied in his name alone. In the word here, niskav is exalted. Ki niskav shemei levadai. His name is exalted above. And rak ziva v'hoidu ala oris v'shemayim. It's only a ray, a radiation, which is on the earth and the heaven. V'ha'orazu, in this ray or radiation, ha'orazu mislabeshes mamish b'elyonim b'tachtonim. That's what becomes enclosed mamish. Right here, you can grasp it. It's down here in the upper worlds and the lower worlds, to enliven them. V'nitfeses b'seichem al yedei, and he is grasped within them through these names. Hu v'shmei levad. He and his name, Hu v'shmei echad. He and his name are one. So al yedei memutzim rabim, and how does he do this? Through many intermediaries, v'tzimtzumim, and many contractions and condensations, rabim, v'atzumim, very strong, very powerful. Through the chain of descent of many levels, derech ilu va'alol, in the manner of cause and effect. And we're in the middle of the story, but that's today's Tanya. So it's not a contradiction that hu levadehu, that he alone is. That's from the perspective of God himself before or deeper than any manifestations which come from him. But that aloneness and singularity remains throughout the entirety of multiplicity, because God is, he has no name, but he is invested in every name. As it says in Leish lo Shem Yudiyah, you have no name. No name, no named. Oh boy, I'll get this right. No name, but you mamali kol shmo, but you fill all names. So this is the difference between what's called in the language of Hasidus all over the place, soive v'mamale. Soive kol olmin is his, they call it transcendence. I'm not sure exactly why that word is so useful. All-encompassing, meaning everywhere present he is, but he's not everywhere present in the manner that he is without some kind of condensation and contraction, because if it were like this, if the sun were everywhere present down here below, there would be no down here below, it would all be burned up. So the sun goes through an atmosphere. The light of the sun goes through an atmosphere, the light is refracted, it's changed, it's modified along the way, so that we can take it. If it weren't for the atmosphere, where they're always looking for life on other planets, there has to be the right combination of an energy source and a delivery mechanism. So the energy source, which is present everywhere, is the soiviv kol almin, but the delivery mechanism, so that there can be multiple myriad differentiated things, is called mamale kol almin. He fills all. He is everywhere present. He has no name, but he fills all names. That's today's time. Comments, questions? Crystal clear, right?
My question is, so we say every day, Ata Kadosh V'Shemcha Kadosh.
Yeah.
So how would you apply what we said now to those 4 words?
Well, Ata Kadosh is simple, right? You are separate. Is that simple? In other words, you as you are yourself are in a manner of separateness, meaning that can't be revealed as it is. But Shimcha Kodesh is that your name contains that. You, God, have created the ultimate paradox, that though you yourself are beyond containment, you have made yourself contained in the name. So we call those names Kodesh because they're vehicles for his holiness. They're the delivery mechanisms by which separateness, allness, can become manifest as multiplicity.
So would you say that Ata Kadosh is the Sobed and the Shemcha Kadosh is the Mamale?
Yeah, you could say that. I think it says that. And yeah, I think I'm pretty sure that's correct. You refers to, yes, I'm pretty sure yes. And there's also a no, because even Ata is brought in Hasidus. If you look at the word Ata, Aleph Taf Hey, right? It's the Aleph Bays. The Aleph, the beginning, and the Taf is the last, right? And that whole structure from beginning to end is delivered through the Hey, which is the we talked about the breath coming from the mouth, right? So, but Ata, simply speaking, you, right? You will Yata, and then yes, Ata Kodesh, the Shimcha Kodesh. Your separateness, your holiness, your allness is delivered in a way that we can take it through the names. And it goes back and forth, and it's like Yud Ke Vav Ke in Chassidus is called Shem HaEtzem. It's the name, it's the essential name. And then the question is asked, but essence has no name. So it's a way in which essence is God, as I said, it's a paradox or a contradiction. He takes his allness and delivers it through a aura, a ray, a radiation, which are the letters. And the letters become delivery mechanisms. Even though they're multiple, they contain within them, as we said, this is the simple meaning of Hashem Yichud Kudsha B'richu Shechintah. Everything we say in davening. For the sake of the unity of Kudsha B'richu, even that word, Kudsha B'richu, holy and Borach, holy and run down. And Kudsha B'richu, the Holy One, and the Shechina, which is Malchus, which is the lower level. So he invests. If this is what he the right way to say this. Okay, he takes infinity and delivers it through finite delivery mechanisms.
But at the same time, but I find fascinating also, I mean, even though we don't really comprehend it, is that we said that there is a beyondness that is always present. Like we think of the sun as far off, but it's not, that's not by HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Right.
At the same time that we have only a ha'ara, at the same time,
we have
Hashem
him
himself is always present. It's hidden, right, but it's always present.
That goes back. You have no name, right? But you fill all names.
Yeah.
So everything is full of him, but in a manner that we can take infinity in the palm of your hand. Right? We can take infinity and hold on to it, which is, he is the only one who can do that. I mean, you can't once you compress, and if we were, I mean, this is a kind of a strange marshal, but if you would take something infinite and compress it, you are right away to making it less than infinite. He packages infinity in finitude. He packages Ato, his very self, in his name. You have no name, but you fill all names, the same you. And that's the wonder. You use that word. That is the wonder. That is something that is not appreciated except for the realms of consciousness which God has gifted us to have, which are deeper than intellect. The sense of wonder, the sense of things that we can't understand, yet we know they're true. Yeah.
Well said.
Okay. Okay, good. Anybody else? Or any other loose ends here? I mean, this is it's always a loose end, you know, because it's a paradox. So, therefore, we'll move to the Bechems. Therefore, since we just understood all this, so what? Tanya, so what? So what does this mean to our life today?
Hashem is still in the secular world.
Say that again?
Hashem is still in the secular world when we're out.
Yeah, Hashem is in the secular world. It's a little bit related to our Yom Yom today, that we have an obligation to go out and inform ourselves and the marketplace that in all this seeming mundanity, is that the right word? Mundanity, everyday stuff, Hashem is filling it. He's there. And with that, we have I would hope, at least I'm thinking, a little different attitude toward the mundane. It isn't really mundane. It's a container for the opposite of mundane. It's a container for godliness, and it's an opportunity for revealing that godliness. Yeah, that's a great so what, Ishikoya. Thank you. To reveal the godliness in everything, in whatever ways we can do. And of course, the one we spoke about the most is tzedakah. Putting ourselves aside in whatever way we do that, and coming out of ourselves into helping others. And then I guess one other way, which comes to my mind, is Ahavas Yisrael. To look not at the superficiality of things, including people, but look at the essence of the person, and particularly if they're Jewish people, the Chelek Elokah, the portion of God which is embedded in them, and look at that in your relationship to people, just as in the world you're looking at the godliness embedded in everything, rather than the externality of everything. Very good. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.